but I am so interested.
How you doing, folks? Welcome to another episode of Wicked New England. These guys are a little bit behind. They're still taking notes from the last episode. I think I got them guessing. So, this episode, In My Darkest Dreams, we'll start out with that. That's actually a quote from Silent Hill, one of my favorite games, Silent Hill 2. But we're going to talk about night terrors. We're going to talk about sleep terrors, sleep paralysis, and all the fun things that come from that. So, stop me, whenever you guys got something you want to interject, but let's just kind of get into it a little bit. So, night terrors, nasty dreams, inducing a feeling of paranoia, panic, and dread. So, like a Thursday night. Occurring in the NREM stages of sleep, okay? Not to be confused with REM. The NREM stages of sleep, or non-rapid eye movement sleep, which occurs before REM sleep does.
So like deep sleep?
No, actually earlier. REM sleep is deep sleep. NREM is just before REM. So rapid eye movement sleep is like when you're really in it. That's when you're really, really dreaming. Okay? So sometimes this can be accompanied by sleep paralysis after the victim is in a state of awake/dreaming. Okay? So these two kind of play with each other from what I've read. Okay? And obviously I'm not a doctor, although I do play one on TV. Hi, everybody! That was a Dr. Nick reference from The Simpsons, if you didn't get that. Whatever. Okay, so sleep terrors generally start at a young age, but can dissipate with time and growth. Often caused by sleep deprivation, medicine, stress, or fever. It's not too common. However, to put in perspective, 36.9% of kids are affected by 18 months, 19.7% at 30 months, and only 2.2% in active adults actually have night terrors. So the older you get, the more likely it goes away. These terrors are usually always accompanied by a sort of a panic attack. So that's like when you see in a movie, or maybe it's happened to you in real life, you jolt up out of a deep sleep. You're freaking out, you're freaking paranoid, maybe you're looking around your room, wondering what that shadow is and wondering why it was on your face.
That ever
Sorry.
happened to you guys?
No. Actually, yes. I have had sleep terrors before. Never sleep paralysis, thankfully. I can honestly say I've never had that. But I've had night terrors
you don't want to have it.
As a younger kid.
Have you had sleep paralysis?
Yes, I did. And fortunately, I have grown out of it. I can't remember the last time I've suffered from like a sleep paralysis aspect.
I have bad news
the
for you.
Stories, what? It's supposed to get worse?
It's more common that it might happen again.
Well, I haven't had it yet, knock on wood. But I mean, the paralysis is more, I've never had the aspect. Now, a lot of this, we kind of covered a little bit of this back when we did when I spoke about shadow people.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little bit of the sleep paralysis aspect with that. Now, it's been reported that usually you see or feel like there's something sitting on your chest or holding you down and you just can't move. My aspect from my experience with it is waking up, just not feeling anything, just not having the physical capacity to move at all. Not having the physical capacity to actually get a sound out. I actually remember, not vaguely, I remember, like, being able to open my mouth to scream and nothing is coming out. And then slowly, it's almost like it comes out from like a soft mute and then volume full max. In a very slow aspect, I can hear the sounds, and and as that's happening, I can physically move and I can get up. Having that happen to you is enough to make you jump up, have your heart pounding out of your chest all of a sudden. You're afraid, you don't know what the hell that was, what just happened. I remember having that happen to me as a child. As far as night terrors, I can kind of link that to some nightmares, especially if they're very traumatic nightmares. And I would also beg to differ and ask the question to you guys. Have you guys ever had a dream where you were falling?
Yes.
Yeah.
And just the moment before you hit the ground, you wake up?
Yes.
But as you wake up, you have the feeling and the sensation that you just hit the mattress and bounced, almost like you were just dropped into your mattress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now, is this nightmare, or do you think it was possibility that something spiritual was going on within you, where you might have just been floating in your bed?
I think it's just a nightmare. I think that combined with a myoclonic jerk Body not knowing if it's awake or not, so it sends the impulse to you to kind of shock you.
All right.
At least in that situation.
Just a question.
No, I know. No. Definitely worth the ask. That's just like my take on it for what happened to me. And it could be different with everybody. But sleep paralysis was another disorder that can occur during our slumber.
Which, fun fact about that, about 30% of people worldwide experience sleep paralysis.
Actually, more than that, John. It's actually 50% of people.
Well, WebMD was wrong, apparently, according to you.
WebMD.
Really?
No, it actually was a different website. Pretty
So, so if night terrors occur during NREM sleep, what can go wrong in our REM sleep? Glad you asked. Sleep paralysis, right? Because who wouldn't want to feel like they can't move and not know if they're awake? All while possibly being scared to death. For this fun experience, it is said that almost 50% of people experience this, and 5% have it happen regularly. Some of the same things that cause night terrors are the things that cause sleep paralysis. So, looking back at sleep deprivation, medicine, stress, fever, you hate your job. There's a good one. Sorry, folk, we all hate our jobs. Not really. I don't hate it, but it is stressful sometimes. Okay, if you watch my channel, you probably work with me at some point. Some of the same things that cause night terrors can also cause paralysis as well, including antidepressants. So depression is clearly the safer choice. I don't mean that. If you're on antidepressants, please stay on them. Talk to that with your therapist. I am in no way telling somebody to stop their medication. I am not a doctor.
Please don't.
Please don't.
Okay, so just in closing, everybody loves sleep, while everyone who isn't experiencing this crap. This stuff is no kind of fun, but help is out there for people who seek it. Sleep clinics and people smarter than me can poke, prod, and show you the light. It's either that or 9/10 never sleep again. Okay, but let's keep going with this. So, what's the worst dream you can remember? Yeah, let's talk about dreams a little bit. Like, seriously.
Funny you say that. My first note is tell the story.
No. All right, let's do this. All right,
Tell the
folks.
story.
I am excited, so I gotta hear this.
So this dream, I don't think I'll ever forget it because there is one part that's just really stupid. But basically, I'm just gonna tell the dream and then I'll
Go
tell you
for
what
it.
I
Yeah,
remember.
we'll comment after. We'll shut up and let you go.
So essentially, what happened in the dream was I woke up, I went downstairs. Now, you know when you wake up from a dream and it feels kind of real, like it could have happened? So, in the dream, I go downstairs, my dad is on the computer, and there's a news story on there about this guy with green skin and yellow eyes who's been breaking into people's houses, killing the family, and moving on. So basically, from there, I go to walk back upstairs, and the guy's at the top of the stairs. When I turn around to tell my family, they're all rushing out the door. They lock the door. It doesn't make any sense because, the lock's on the inside in real life, but, they lock me in with this maniac. So I start running around the house trying to, get away from this guy. Here's where it gets weird. I was really into Harry Potter, picked up a wand in the dream, and I started casting spells at him until I knocked him out. Then in the dream, I threw him out the door. My family came back in. And for some reason, I'll never forget, so I was looking out there and I was kind of mocking the guy. And then he kind of just appeared right in front of me and just stared me in the eye, and that jolted me awake. However, I wasn't actually awake because I jolted awake and there he was standing right over me, and that's when I woke up. Now here's the thing. That was so scary at the time that I still remember it to this day. I can still see his face, okay, to this day, when I think about that story. And I had that dream in probably 5th or 6th grade. That is my nightmare. That
Did you only have it
whatever
once?
ring. Yep, I only had that once. I can still picture his face. Creepy as shit.
Sounds it. I think the worst part of your dream, to be honest, isn't the whole first part where that's terrifying enough. Getting
It's
chased
the
by
waking up and
and
you
seeing
still
them
there.
That's the part that got me. Like as soon
Having
as
to
you
wake
tell it
up
that, I'm like,
twice.
And that's the
That's-
only time that I've ever had one of those fake out dreams. You know how you see it in movies where they wake up and they're still in the dream? That is the only time I've ever had a dream like that.
You see a lot in
where I woke up.
You see that a lot in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. See, that was the nightmare. Because I've had other nightmares. I know I have because we're human. Shit happens. But that's the only one that I can vividly remember to this day. Other ones I remember little things, but nothing that vivid.
My worst dream I think I had when I was a kid was recurring. It happened multiple times. I can't tell you how often it recurred. I just know that it happened multiple times. I can tell you that. It probably stopped when I was about 12. And I want to say it started when I was like 7. So I had this dream many times. Between like 7 and 12 years old. Okay? But basically I was being chased. I was outside my grandmother's house. It was up here in Fall River. Chased by some kind of a killer. You know what I mean? What seemed like 6 foot freaking tall to me. Because at the time, I'm a kid. I'm like, 3 foot probably at best at that age, 7 feet tall. 7 years old rather. So I'm running and it's cold outside and I'm getting tired and I don't have my shoes. So my feet are hurting. They're like getting cut up from like running on asphalt. And somehow I end up in this old garage. And within this old garage, there's like an air duct. So I crawl in this air duct, like one of them, like you see John McClane crawling in Die Hard, right? So I'm crawling in this thing and it drops down kind of thing, which I don't even know why a garage would have anything like that. Whatever, it's irrelevant, it's a dream. So I'm crawling down there and whatever it is, whoever it is, goes to stab me through the thing while I'm trapped in this fucking box. You know what I mean? And right as like the blade is about to go in me, that's when I wake up. And it happened multiple times. Like, I can't explain it. Maybe I saw something in a movie that influenced me or something. I watched horror movies at a really young age. So, that's always possible. I've been watching horror movies since I was like 4. 4 or 5. So, but, I don't know. It's just weird you wake up right as you're about to die every time.
Yeah, I've experienced dreams like that before.
But always the same killer. And always the same scenario.
Well, I've had nightmares when I was a child. Do I remember a lot of them? No. And when you're 3 or 4 years old, most of your nightmares, they're going to be resulting in certain horror movies, let's say, that you watch. So most of the starring cast in my nightmares were usually Michael Myers, Jason, and Freddy Krueger. But other than that, I've never really had anything very terrifying in that aspect, except for maybe just a few years ago. For about a 2-month stretch, and this is when the pandemic was first going on. I don't know if subconsciously I was just stressing myself out with a lot of different things, but I was probably running at that point, because of the dreams, on maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. That's if I was even sleeping that night. Some of my nightmares were very, very terrifying. Near-death experience. There was one in particular, and I'm sorry, I'm not prepared to talk about that right now. But I can tell you that these nightmares were actually waking me up after maybe an hour, 2 hours of sleep, and I'm in a full-blown cold sweat. My mattress almost has a puddle in it. I'm sweating. My heart feels like it's pounding out of my chest. I think I'm having a heart attack. And it's like, once you wake up from whatever the hell that was, you're pretty much up. You might as well turn on the TV.
You ain't going back to sleep.
I'm not going back to sleep. And I suffered for whatever reason for about 2 solid months. The one dream that still sticks with me very strongly today is actually the last one that I actually ever had. I haven't had a nightmare like that since. I prefer not to have a nightmare like that ever again. But let's just say these nightmares were they felt more realistic than a nightmare or a dreamscape should be. If Freddy Krueger was screwing with my head for those 2 months, he did a great job. I know what it's like to be in the Nightmare on Elm Street film for that aspect. But at the same token, Freddy Krueger never popped into my mind. Freddy Krueger wasn't a part of the dream. There was no essence of any like horror movie film aspects. These were quite unique and creative. If I would have remembered to write them down, who knows? Maybe we'd be making Hollywood films about this stuff. But yeah, the one dream that I would like to talk about, I just don't know how to word it to make it not as disturbing as I think it might be for a lot of our viewers.
There's one more that I want to talk about. Let me talk about that. Why don't you think about if you can word it or not? If not, that's okay. But you know,
I do have a question for you guys, just because we're talking about dreams that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So recently, I rewatched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and one of the concepts in that is dream walking. And in the movie, how it works is every dream you have is a different multiverse version of you. So, on that same token, what's the dream multiverse version of you that you would want to be, if you can think of one? Doesn't obviously probably wouldn't be a nightmare, but can you guys think of any?
Not off the top of my head, no.
You can think of nightmares, but you can't think of dreams.
Well,
that's what's wrong with society.
This one nightmare in particular just like is in my mind because it's the most recent one that I had, but it was actually about a year ago. I don't have a lot of nightmares, but this one fucked me up. Similar to what you're talking about. I woke up in a cold sweat. I actually shot up, and I'm a man. I'm not too ashamed to say this. I started bawling my eyes out. It fucked me up. So, this was at the time, we were just talking about this too, behind the scenes, when Russia was possibly going to war with Ukraine and everything, and that nuclear fear and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And I was at a WWE sporting event, of all things. I'm in a stadium, I'm there with my son and my girlfriend, and we're watching a wrestling match, and all of a sudden these air raid sirens go off. And pieces of the ceiling are flying away, if you will. We're inside of this freaking dome, and then we run outside. Everybody's trying to run away, find shelter, or whatever. Everything's being peeled away, and I can tell you the most vivid thing I can remember about that dream is watching both my son and my girlfriend's flesh disintegrate into ash as we were running, and just kind of being out of fingertips grasp and literally having it. It's almost like Thanos, just gone, you know what I mean? And then I started the same thing, you know what I mean? My flesh started to burn and then melt away into ash. Obviously some kind of nuclear dream, if you will, whatever. But definitely shot up. The bed sheets were soaked. I will say, one thing I'm sure triggered it. I had drank more heavily that night than I had in a long fucking time. You know what I mean? So definitely no word of a lie. I know I was drunk when I went to bed. But I woke up sober as a fucking judge 2 hours after going to sleep. I mean, I passed out hard, and about 2 hours later, I woke up, and I literally started bawling my eyes out, literally crying, because I had just seen them killed, and it felt so real that I guess I thought it was real. I guess the best way I can describe it. Until she woke up next to me or whatever, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I literally described it vividly in detail because it stuck with me, but. And usually I don't remember my dreams, to be honest. That one, I've never forgotten. My dreams, 90% of the time, to be honest, are deja vu. I'll dream something, and it's funny, it'll happen the next day, but it'll be little tidbits of conversation, or a phrase, or something like that. And I'll be at breakfast, recalling what I dreamt about the night before, me saying at breakfast. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I can... tell the future or nothing like that, folks. It's not what this is, but it just it's more of a deja vu kind of thing. It's usually if I remember my dreams at all, that's what it's kind of is, that sort of thing.
See, so that was about the opposite of what I had asked.
Well, I know, just I was already prepared to kind of say that, so that's why
I was gonna say I had a dream where I was in Minecraft.
I've had dreams where I was in video games before.
See, that's a multiverse version.
Did you play Resident Evil and Silent Hill?
No. Not played Minecraft, and I had a dream about it.
That was Nathan Drake looking for treasure.
See? That's a good multiverse to travel to. Not that fucking depression shit.
I gravitate more towards depression than I do the positive side of things, so maybe I'm just a dark spirit. That doesn't mean it's bad, though.
I think everybody's got
Like,
a little bit of darkness into that.
When I dream
in
about
us.
like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, I mean that doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be like
in
a
some
horror. Like
ways,
I'm afraid I'm going to die. Like some type of that situation, I think it's cool.
in some ways,
Yeah,
I
let's
think
take out some
embracing a little bit of that darkness that we all have help keep us a little sane. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
You kind of got to go with that sometimes, and sometimes it can be your best friend, sometimes it can be your worst enemy. And in the events that, you know, you're suffering from depression, it's more your worst enemy than anything else. Definitely not something you want to embrace at that aspect if you're suffering from depression. So, I mean, I would definitely recommend some people seek help if they have serious depression, seek counseling. But yeah, I mean, we all have a dark side. It's just a matter of how much of that dark side you want to embrace. You guys got anything else?
Have a great night, guys. Thank you for watching Wicked New England.
I hope you sleep great tonight and you have amazing dreams. Not any of this crap that we're talking about. Although it is pretty terrifying what happens to you, so I'm not going to call it crap because it happens to a lot of people.
And if you've had anything like this that we've mentioned happen to you, please drop it down in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. We'd love to even be able to discuss it if you'd let us.
Yeah, tell us your nightmares and dreams. Or both.
Anyway, for Wicked New England, I'm Anthony.
Bye, guys.